Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Coming down.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and I appreciate you. Stop watching the Indy 500 for this spectacle, which is way better than the Indy 500. Round number 10 of the Radical World Series Europe, live from Imola in Italy, the last round of the championship. And oh boy, is it a big one. Championship can be decided in this round. It's all very close in the team championship, in the driver championship. So yeah, looking forward to get it underway. With me in the commentary booth, as always, is Stephen. And Stephen and I are ready to bring you through all the action here this evening. Welcome to this 3.0 mile long circuit that is 4.9 kilometers, a total of 19 corners, 8 to the right, 11 to the left. It opened all the way back on the 25th of April 1953 and is of course located in the Emilia Romagna region region that has lately, of course, been hit with those floods in Imola, Italy. Quickest lap time ever recorded here around this track, a 1:15.484 from Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes W11 2020 for the Formula 1 Grand Prix. Well then, let's bring Stephen in. Stephen, welcome. How excited are you to decide the championship this evening?
It's going to be an interesting decider for sure, as we're getting down to the very business end, the nuts and bolts of the season, and looking forward to what should be a spectacular race here at Imola. A beautiful racetrack in a beautiful area. It's a pity that they've been hit by those floods. I'm wishing them all the best and hope they can get back on their feet quickly enough. But we have got some racing here. We didn't have it obviously last weekend with the F1 as it was cancelled due to said floods. But we don't have that issue in sim racing. So I'm looking forward to a great race here. It's going to be fantastic in these cars. This track is a bit of a roller coaster. You can be very tail happy in places as well, and these cars will love the track for that. And yeah, I've had a couple of runs around today myself in this car, and one thing that really stands out is how little trail braking is really required here. So those drivers who aren't necessarily good on the brakes, most tracks maybe going to be doing rather well here.
Well, of course, what we've seen over the past few races is the fact that the braking usually was the most important thing on every track that we went to. Spa, of course, last time round, we had Bathurst. If you want to know how it all ended, we're gonna do a little bit of a talk through the whole season. So we'll do that somewhere around the 30 minutes into this race. Because of course we do have a 90-minute long race to end it all off with here. What a spectacle it is going to be. 10 minutes of qualifying has just commenced, and it's Men of the Graph first out on track. But before we go anywhere, let's have a little look at the championship, because from what we've seen so far this season, we can tell you that Tim Birdie is leading the way ahead of Mike Boson in P2, then Adam Isaacson in P3, out of Jürgen Frank in P4. All those drivers technically in with a shot at the championship. However, with how the points line up, the biggest point gap that we can see between Tim Birdie and Mike Boson is 50 points for Mike Boson if he wins the race. However, if I look, Mike Boson at the moment, not on my timing table. He is. Never mind. He's on my timing table. Just joined the session. I'm delighted to say. So we will have a championship fight. 50 points for Mike Boson. If Tim Birdie finishes the race all the way in last position, which is 10th here this evening, that'll mean that he can get a maximum of 30 points, which will bring the championship down to exactly 1 point. So, Mike Boson needs Tim Birdie to have an absolute howler of a race. An absolute, well, let's be honest, it's an outside chance that anyone else is going to make this, because Adam Isaacson can make it on countback races. He's won more races than Tim Birdie, so he can make it too. Jürgen Frank out of it, because we do not have the amount of drivers that we had usually, which I think, Stephen, is a bit disappointing. However, let's continue with the championship. Dennis Kiriakopoulos in 6th. 7th is John McHutchison. These three very much still in with a shot at P5. Jason Duckworth in P8. Rudolf Nigal P9. George Gonzaga in P10. Those are the drivers that will go to the finals, because they're in the top 10. That is a fight too. Stephen Place can still creep into that top 10. However, he's leading the American Championship, so that'll mean that he will... Well, let's put it like this. He has 2 wildcards to get into this finals. So, Ewan Bremer in P12, Edgar Guy Robertson in P13, Rafael Blanco in P14, Paul Clark P15, Stefan Mellis in P16, equal points with Paul Clark, Alexander Roggenbuck in P17, ahead of Menno de Graaf in P18. Then, further on beyond that, we have Alfredo Malo Andy Bain, Paul Crabb, Daniel Cascaro, David Wollaston, Neil Gluskig, David Walters, Paul LeMay, Connor Scribner, Berend Wienik, and in P30, Miros Resnak, Sandro Capella, Graham Brown, Joseph Emmett, Damien G, David Tartari, Gary Truby, Andy Hugel, Lucas Dolze, and Kettle Larson, Kim Holberg, Thomas Sivas, Johan Almark, Simonas, and George Martinez in P44. That's a 44 strong championship. However, some drivers did not manage to score a single point over the 10 rounds that we have had here. And with the with 25 drivers getting points, that is a bit of a surprise, isn't it, Stephen?
Well, yeah, we've had a number of races this year where not enough drivers have turned up in order to push anybody outside of the points altogether. So there's several drivers, as we see, this white livery car here of Matt de Graaf going very sideways here on these qualifying sessions. But yeah, it's been a long season for a lot of people, and yeah, those who have turned up week in, week out without fail have reaped the rewards of that consistency and attendance as well. They've gained a lot of points and now get to see themselves in a position where maybe they can get something worthwhile out of this season. There's many drivers there this evening, I've got to say. Disappointment, but you know, we march on and hope that we still get some entertaining racing. But yeah, Birdie stands the best chance here. As it stands, he's going to have an absolute horror race here to lose out on the championship. But we've seen stranger things happen.
For sure we have. However, Rudolf Nagal is at the moment in first, ahead of Tim Bertie. But where is Mike Buson at the moment? Mike Buson with a quickest second sector. Here he is, not improving in sector number 3 and 4. This could be huge for the championship. It needs to start in a good position. However, I have a feeling that Tim Bertie is not going to have the howler of a race that he really needs him to have. And he does now jump to pole position on a 37.576. However, Stephen Blaze gets up into P1. And Mike Buson, again, doesn't record a lap time. So he really needs a lap time. I said 2 lap times so far, both of them with an off-track in them. So no lap time recorded yet for Mike Buson.
I wonder whether he just wants to start from the back, but with a grid as short as this one, there's a lot less chance for carnage in the opening laps. So maybe qualifying here, getting started further up the grid is going to be the way to go. But great times coming in here from here. But be interested to see if Birdie can get his first win, given the absence of Jürgen Frank and Adam Isaacson. Those guys have been trading wins all season. Either one or the other has shown up to every race so far, and they've won every single race there. So this is Tim Bertie's chance to impress, really, to take that first win, and with it, take the championship as well. Just make sure.
Well, Tim Bertie, we're on board with him at the moment. And if he can put this car on pole position, he's been going head to toe with Jürgen Frank, someone who's won a lot of races, together with Adam Isaacson. Neither of those two drivers are here with us, so that'll mean for the first time this season, we're not going to see either of those two drivers win. It's only been 2 race winners. But I do have a feeling that the man from Simracing pits over, he's just about to cross the line to set a quicker lap time and jump up into provisional pole position on 136.961. Has a great chance of winning this race. 4.5 tenths ahead now of Stephen Place in P2.
And that is a rapid lap. Look at that, 4.5 tenths faster than his nearest rival. 7 tenths faster than Nigel, but Nigel has shown some pace throughout this season as well. It'll be interesting to see what he can come back with now that everybody's on their must-do lap, their do-or-die lap. They only get 2 laps in this 10-minute window. It's about all you can manage in 10 minutes anyway. But it'll be the second lap that a lot of people will be going for now. This is the full send lap. This is the one where you don't leave anything on the table. There's no point in trying to leave anything on the table. You're not going to get any scraps later on. This is it. This is do or die. So let's see what Buson can do as he comes down now through Piratella. Absolutely fantastic corner. Kind of off camber on the exit there, which can sometimes suck you into the gravel trap. But Aqua Minerali, absolute roller coaster of a corner. This, absolutely love this one. You really chuck it in there and just gotta hope that there's grip on the other side. But there will be, because it kind of goes uphill a bit. You start to load up those front tyres, and all of a sudden you get a lot of grip. But you've got to be committed in that corner for sure.
Tim Bertie is committed. He's about to cross the line again for Simracing. Beethoven is now coming out of the last two corners. Rivazza as he comes towards our commentary position. However, Mike Buisson still hasn't recorded a lap time. He needs one, and he needs one desperately to try and get up the order. Is improving in the last sectors. Tim Bertie across the line to improve his lap time even further to a 1:36.842. What can Mike Buisson do? Stephen Place is going to challenge Tim Bertie too. He comes into P2 on a 1:36.985. Mike Buisson on the last lap of qualifying for him gets himself up into that provisional third position, and that is what it will be if Alex Roggenbuck or Stefan Mellis can't do anything about that. Alex Roggenbuck still out on track. Here he is. He's going to Rivazza at the minute. It's only Roggenbuck still out on track. Stefan Mellis has given up on his lap time. So is Guy Robertson. Guy Robertson not able to set a lap time. Also someone missing who usually never sets a lap time is the man from
It's Mr. Scott Callahan.
Scotty Gallagher from Australia, and he goes into pit lane too. Roggenbuck is not going to improve. That means, ladies and gentlemen, that the championship leader is going to go into this race in the best position possible. Stephen Place in P2 ahead of Mike Buisson in P3, who needs Tim Bertie to have an absolute howler of a race. He needs him to maybe crash down in the turn one together with Stephen Place maybe.
I mean, what does he need? He needs him to come dead last or not finish the race at all. And not finishing the race at all would pretty much guarantee Buisson, if he came P1, the championship. And that's pretty much the only way he does that. So
Buisson needs to win.
It's not in his hands. It's just not in his hand. I mean, even if he wins and Bertie comes last, maybe Bertie is going to get the virtue of those, get enough points there just to hold him off a little bit. But the lack of drivers here today, meaning that even a last place finish will reward a sizable amount of points. So a DNF is really what he's hoping for. And Bertie hasn't DNF'd all season. He's been Mr. Consistent. So it's going to be a tough one for Buisson here. I'm sure he's sitting there thinking in his car that he hasn't really got much of a chance. If he was to win it, he'd be extremely pleased. But he lines up here on the second row.
Here we go. This is the starting grid. And for this last race, we'll do things a bit different. From the back to the front. Jason Duckworth, P10, Guy Robertson, P9, Alex Roggenbuck, Stephen Mellis, Man of the Graph, Daniela Cascado. Second row, Rudolf Nagala and Mike Buisson, who desperately needs that first position. Stephen Place in P2 and Tim Bertie in P1. Here is the man who's at the moment needs all of this. Everyone is on the grid. The 5 red lights are going to be coming on. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's lights out and we're underway for the last round. Not a good start for Stephen Place. Immediately gets overtaken by Mike Buisson. We're all down in the turn 1. But Tim Bertie is challenged by absolutely nobody going down in turn 1. Daniela Cascado, overtaken Rudolf Nagal to Stephen Place from P2 at the starting grid. Dropped all the way down to P5. Not the start that he would have wanted. Stefan Mellis up at P7. Guy Robertson overtook Alex Roggenbuck on the start too. Daniela Cascado gained 2 positions off that start.
Yeah, up into a podium position there for Cascado, overtaking Place and Nigel there to take those positions in the early stages. But he's going to have a lot of pace and confidence in himself here to keep on to those positions. Those guys behind are quick and they'll be wanting to get back at him as soon as possible.
Tim Bertie has the absolute dream start right now. Mike Buisson is behind him, trying to chase the German down. However, we also have to remember 2 pit stops have to be made in this race. It's not a straightforward sprint race that we saw last week at Bathurst, which was an absolutely amazing one. The fight was between the two who have been winning races all of this season, Adam Isaacson and Jürgen Frank. In the end, however, Adam Isaacson, who came out on top ahead of Jürgen Frank. Jürgen Frank touched the wall coming out of Forest Elbow. That was fight over for him. Tim Bertie, his teammate for Simracing, Beethoven, who can win the team championship for Simracing Beethoven here today. So a lot on the line here for the German and a lot to think of for him too.
Yeah, but he wants to just get himself into a nice, calm rhythm and not do anything major mistakes kind of thing. He just needs to make sure that he finishes nicely here. He seems to have plenty of pace over the guys behind, but under braking there, Buson managed to regain a couple of tenths. So be a little bit of a mind game going on here. See who's going to crack first, but Buson already actually starting to look close to the back of Bertie, and it's starting to become a bit of a race here between these top four. Starting to pull away from Mellis behind for sure, but these cars are very tricky on this track. The way the camber works in all of these corners means that the car's weight is difficult to keep steady, and but you've got to be committed, especially in corners like this in Piratella, where you've got to really throw it in and just trust that it's definitely going to have the grip there. Really, this is one of my favourite corners ever, is Aqua Minerale, the double right-hander, and you get progressively slower as you go through, but grips up just so much as you hit that the bottom of that hill. This, and then on one of the worst corners in racing as far as I'm concerned. The curbs on this chicane here are an absolute nightmare. They are horrible. They very much unsettle the car. Does not like it in these cars, the SR8 at all. Doesn't like big bumps, these cars whatsoever. But, final two corners are very important here. Again, got to be very committed. Get early on the power here at this final corner, because you've got your best overtaking opportunity down the main straight.
Mike Buson has dropped it a little bit once again from Tim Bertie. However, if he can just pressurize Tim Bertie a bit, not allow him to get away, you can see a tenth, almost half a tenth quicker than Tim Bertie, which is not a lot, but it is enough to start gaining on him, put him under pressure, and maybe force him into a mistake. Now, something that we did talk about, James and I, about 2 weeks ago now at Bathurst, for the Radical Race series, which is also, of course, racing in the SR8s, is he can take things into his own hands, because Buson can be aggressive. Bertie has to watch out. If Buson just sends it up the inside, has contact with Tim Bertie scatters off into the gravel, into the wall, you know, but it crossed James's mind. But my argument was, like, if you're in P2, you never want to win a championship that way, would you?
No, but you do want to win a championship, and the only way you're going to do it is that way, is the blunt end of the stick, really. I can see where James is coming from on that one. Surely, I think he does have to be aggressive. The only way Buson's going to win this championship is if he forces an error from Bertie, and he's got to be aggressive and get his elbows out in order to do that. He's got to see that as an opportunity there, and go for it, really. He's got no option other than to go for it. He can't just sit back and let Bertie just dictate the pace of this race. He's got to get in there and get involved, and if there's contact and it's his fault, so be it. He'll get penalised for that accordingly by the FIA or the stewards involved. And if there isn't contact though, and Bertie just jumps out of the way anyway and ends up crashing into the wall, and it's not his fault, he's won the championship through that aggression. So I am on James's side there, I have to say. I think this is what Buson has to do. He's got to stick with him. First of all, let's not forget, this is an endurance race. He doesn't want to do anything untowards. He's had a couple of spins in his previous races. He needs to just try and get into a rhythm and try and follow on with Bertie. There's no point in overtaking him just now. Bertie give Bertie plenty of time, an opportunity to come back at him and win the race back again from him. But for now, he just needs to stick with this group, because Nigel already falling off this group, unable to stay within the 1 second, 1.5 second margin that you need to get that draft down that main straight and other straights in order to help you keep up. But Bertie, at the moment, doing everything he needs to do.
To give you a reference of how close it is between the top four at the moment, hey, Stephen, 138.44 from Tim Bertie last time, 138.45 from Mike Buson, 138.41 from Daniela Cascara, and 138.42. The top four on that last lap time within 400ths of each other. How close do you want it?
How close can you get it, is the answer to that. But Cascaro is very impressive so far in this opening stint, is that he's been able to keep up with these guys. He's doing an incredible job, showing that he's got the pace, and he deserves to be in amongst it here. Stephen Place, something happened to him, obviously. He's down now in P10. Is he pitted? Not sure what's going on there.
Stephen Place has made his first pit stop already. That's a
He's
good
done this
spot there.
before, hasn't he? Like, he's done this before. He's gone for the early pit stop sometimes. Does this a lot, and it has worked out for him in some races and hasn't in others. I think it's very much just a tactic to get himself into some nice clean air and start the race on his own pace in order to get him in a nice groove kind of thing. But I sometimes find, personally as well, especially in my GT3 race I did yesterday, that sometimes it's best to be in amongst it at the beginning because the guys push you and you push them, and it makes for more interesting race, more fun race. At least being side by side with people, the kind of racing we want to see, and the kind of racing we all want to be involved in as well.
Now the gaps are starting to form. This is an endurance race. Drivers are thinking long term. So we will see those gaps at some point start to create. However, what we've seen at the front so far this season, especially with how close it is, it will take a little bit of time before that time will start to create at the front of the field. So far, the closest battle we have on track is that battle for the lead. 4 tenths in between Mike Buson and Tim Bertie. Now, Tim Bertie, the only thing Tim Bertie could let Mike Buson just go ahead, do not take any risk with him, and just make sure you finish this race. Because it seems like at the moment, he has so much pace over everyone else. If we look at the gap to the leader, here we go, we'll have a look at the gap to the leader. Roggenbuck already after 10 minutes, 20 seconds down on the leader. He's going to easily be able to overtake him or put him on a lap over this 1.5 hour if the pace stays that way. So, I don't know. Does he need to take the risk? Is he taking risk? It seems like at the moment he's actually very calm in P1.
It certainly is, but he's not being asked any questions as it stands by Mike Buson as come around Piratella once more. It's very much a waiting game to see from Mike Buson to see what's going to happen here. I don't know if Mike Buson might think himself. I mean, the stats and so far would suggest as well that these guys haven't got much of a separation between them in pace. Maybe some of that pace from Buson is coming from the draft. Maybe once he gets ahead, he would find it very difficult to stay ahead, and Bernie would have to maybe overtake him. Who is really the faster man out of the two is the question. And if Buson is just struggling to kind of maintain a half-second gap, it would suggest that maybe Bernie's got that half a tenth, a tenth or two pace over him. It's just the draft is keeping Buson in with a shout. But maybe Buson is also lifting and coasting a little bit, trying to save a little bit of fuel. That could be a big factor here this evening as well, is who can save the most fuel and go the longest as well. That could be a factor.
Bertie with another quickest lap on 37.776. The man who started in P2, dropped down to P5 on the opening lap, has already made his pit stop and is on the back of Alex Roggenbuck. Now, the pit stop that he's made, Stephen, is the pit stop that we see as the just drive in and out. The in and out pit stop, we'll call it, is the case here because that pit stop, in terms of pit time, is 0.9 seconds long. Now, I know that F1 is quick, but I don't think these radical pit crews can change all 4 tires within a second, put some fuel in for the rest of the race. I don't know how much PSI you would need of pressure, or how much bars of pressure you would need to be able to put that fuel in that quick, and how big of a filling hose you would need, but it's very much impossible.
Enough to make it just explode anyway, regardless of how
probably
you can get it in. Probably enough pressure just to make it explode. That would be ridiculous, yeah. But he's done this before. It's an interesting tactic. It obviously gives him clean air and allows him a traffic-free experience to race at his own pace for the first opening segment, which can be fairly dangerous in these endurance races as well. You can ruin a race quite easily and quickly. Obviously got a poor start this time around, losing positions off the grid. Yeah, I imagine he just thought to himself, alright, let's just get out of everybody's way. I don't want to be involved in anything untoward. I don't want to have to make overtakes on track. They just slow you down overall. So maybe he's come in and thought to himself, right, I'm going to get past all these guys just by coming in now and then regaining those positions by having an absolutely immense stint here in the first part of this race, and when they come in, I'll be long gone. I'll be 10 seconds up the road. I've already made one of my stops. Don't need to make it again. But yeah, it's an interesting strategy from him. Let's see if it pays off. We'll have to keep an eye on him and see where he finishes in the end. But he's certainly not afraid to make those hard calls, is he?
No, not at all. Also, I think if you're Stephen Place, with the 2 championships already being secured for that finals spot, which is what these drivers are all fighting for in the end, you can be champion here, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't win in the finals. That is going to be coming up in about 2-3 weeks' time. But Stephen Place, you know, he can take that risk, and what you just said is actually happening. Time so far, 31.2 seconds in pit lane with that short pit stop from Stephen Place. Gap to Bertie at the moment, 28.7 seconds. Now he does have to deal with some traffic in a bit, in the form of Roggenbuck, which will be for position, but let's be honest, Roggenbuck so far hasn't been a match for the pace that Place has been running. So for him, that'll be traffic. However, we've been on board with Mike Buson for a long time now. We saw him get close down into Tamburello the last time round, but ever since then has been dropping back massively, and that's 3/10 lost over this last lap.
Yeah, interesting. Side things, but about Roggenbuck as well. Is he still sitting? He's also sitting at P17 in the championship as well. So if he gains enough points here today, which he could do, especially over some of the people who are also fighting him for that point, last finals paying position, he might just sneak in there also if he gets a good enough points haul here. There's a few drivers missing, and maybe he could sneak over into it as well. You'd have to get a lot of points though. He's currently about 40 points away from that. So you'd have to gain quite a bit. But with there only being 10 spots available grabs here, he's even coming 10th here. It's going to be a lot of points.
For sure. However, also drop weeks will include stuff. So that means that actually with the drop scores, because from the points that we've got at this point in time, that actually means that already there's no chance anymore for Mike Buson to really make it stick. However, because the rules are you drop your 2 lowest scores, and the lowest scores for Mike Buson at the moment, 7 points and a 0 point. Now for Tim Bertie, that is twice a 0-point score. So the actual standings would be Adam Isaacson on 298. Closest to that, Jürgen Frank on 292, together with Mike Buson actually. So he's just fighting to finish this race in second. However, Tim Bertie is still under attack because the gap is still close enough for him to lose his spot on the top of the championship. So Mike Buson has an outside chance, like we said earlier on in the broadcast, to still make this a normal season champion win for Buson. However, let's be honest, Stephen, he needs some luck for that.
You'll need a fair amount of it, yeah, but all you can do at the moment is just enjoy the time out on track this evening and try and get a race on going with Bertie. Cascaro seems to have finally dropped off the back of those two, and it's now just 2-horse race. Started as 4, Nagel dropped off, then we're down to 3, Cascaro's now dropped off, and now it's just him and Buson who's also starting to struggle to maintain that gap as it starts ahead over 1 second for the first time after a mistake there by Buson. I'm not sure what happened to him, but Team Place got past Roggenbuck on track as well, and is starting to make headway through the crowd. As you see up ahead of him there, a couple of white cars heading into the chicane. It's going to be vital that he hits the traffic at the right places, because they're not going to pit for a while. So this was always going to happen with his strategy.
Now, what? There are kind of 3 strategies that we've seen. It's either like Stephen Place, you pit early on and you kind of wait till about 20 minutes have passed till you make your second pit stop. Just get those pit stops out of the way. You do not have to think about them anymore for the rest of that race. Strategy number 2, you pit after 30 minutes, and after that you kind of pit with about 15 minutes to go for that 1 second pit stop. Or you just pit with 15 minutes to go, put all fuel in, or put the fuel in that you need for those last 15 minutes, and then after that stop, just immediately the lap after, come in for your 1 second stop. Those are the 3 strategies that we've seen so far this season. And it seems like at the moment we've got Stephen Place going for strategy number 1. So pit early and make that last pit stop after about 20 minutes into this race. However, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't really predict when he's going to make that second pit stop.
See, one of the things that makes this strategy, and this is why it's in place in the first place, I believe. These rules about having these double pit stops is so that if somebody does crash or have an incident, they're not out of it entirely in the early stages, especially. It means that everybody still has to make a stop anyway. So if you do get into a bit of trouble, then everybody in front of you, once you pit and you have to come in, everybody still has to definitely stop as well. So at least twice, kind of thing. So you obviously already done one of those. You get the opportunity to catch back up by spending more time on the track. But Place here, he's got another driver in his sights and lines him up nicely through the final corner, Ravazza, and will get a very good tow all the way down at the main straight. Already looking towards the inside. We're going to get this done early and easily, and does so with aplomb and ease. Yeah, what a move. That's how you do it. Just line them up, get them set up nicely, and then knock them down.
Well, a professional game of chess here from Stephen Place, trying to find the right strategy to steal Tim Bertie his king, because Tim Bertie at the moment is the driver leading. Now the gaps have started to form. We switch back to the interval between the drivers. You can see the gap between Buisson and Bertie at the moment, 1.9 seconds. Cascado has gained on Buisson a little bit, because that gap before was about 2 seconds. It's now a second. Is maybe, because it's so easy to get them on this track, is slowdown involved in that?
Possibility, but you imagine maybe it would have swung a bit harder if it was a major slowdown. Maybe it was just a mistake, but yeah, could have possibly been a slowdown. Going to come in, be a major factor is track limits and slowdowns in this race, I'm sure. But already looks as though Buisson is starting to get away again from Cascado again once more. So maybe you're right, maybe it was just a slowdown, maybe he just had a poor corner. These corners here at Imola, especially Tamburello and Villeneuve, especially for me, they're all very much a flow and feel corner, and you've got to be very committed to get like the fastest time. And just messing it up once can cost a lot of time.
Well, my Buisson has lost valuable time to Tim Bertie, the man at the moment in the race lead. And it is Stephen Place who's gaining massively on Menno de Graaf. Let's take a look on board Stephen Place, see how he's finding his way through the traffic. Menno de Graaf at the moment in P18 in the championship, not in with a shout at the top 10 anymore, except if he wins this race. And let's be honest, that looks a bit unlikely at the moment. He needs a series of events to go his way. He needs all stars to align for him if that is going to happen. We saw a Dutch driver win today at Monaco, dominant over all the rest. I don't think Menno de Graaf is going to be able to do the same here at Imola today. I appreciate you all stopping by and checking into the stream. Hope you all had an amazing racing day. Of course, we're at Monaco today. The GP, which is usually a bit boring. The most exciting day on Monaco is usually the Saturday. We've had the Indy 500 today, which has come to an end. No spoilers in chat, please, over who's won that, because I do want to watch it back when the stream comes to an end. I don't want to know who's already won, because that takes the joy out of watching it back. Stephen is on the back of Menno de Graaf at the moment into Rivazza. Can't make the move stick, however, is going to wait till the main straight to get onto the back of the Dutch driver. 3.5 tenths is the gap at the moment. Look at the speed that he has down the straight. It looks like that car has absolutely no downforce on it. and is a rocket in a straight line. Goes past Men of the Calf. And Stephen Place up into P7. Next one to tick off of his list is Guy Robertson, who's up in P6. However, if we do go to the gaps after this, you can see the gap is on the right hand side now. That gap has grown by about 2 seconds now, so he is losing a bit of time through these traffic cars. So at the moment, I would say, Stephen, it's settling down nicely for Place. However, it seems like the strategy at the moment not playing out quite as he would have liked.
No, maybe he should have got a bit more aggressive with it and done both the stops at the early stages, but that would then mean under-fueling the car in the early stages in order to hit the right, and you have to get that moment right as well, because then you're not going to be able to come back in for a splash and dash. It could cost you vital position at the end, but he's doing well with the traffic regardless, and maybe the guys in front will have to deal with traffic at some stage in their own race, whether that's lapping it or pitting earlier. I doubt that usually the front guys in these races are the last pit, in all honesty, though. They want to keep hold on to that track position as long as possible. But Second Place already made quick work of Duckworth and Graf, and now he's looking at the back of Robertson, and he's been doing these moves like clockwork every time down this main straight to get such a good toe here, and it's within 3/10. That should be close enough, plenty close enough, in order to get Robertson down this straight. Robertson looking to make this as easy as the others. Look to defend the inside still, however, just knows this is not his fight. Gives it off. He's got so much overspeed anyway, and Place takes the place.
There we go. Got that pun in there. Oh! Stephen Place had a big oversteer moment on the exit of Tamburello curve. Of course, legendary corners for all the wrong reasons. Let's be honest, Stephen.
Yeah, we saw his picture just beforehand in the build-up. Ayrton Senna, of course, sadly passed at this track in 1994, I believe it was. And yeah, another driver died that day as well. Points if you can remember his name.
There we go. Trivia question in chat for you guys. It was not only Ayrton Senna who died that day. So if you know which driver other than Ayrton Senna died on the day that we lost a legend, 2 legends to be honest, you will forever be the man here on the channel when it comes to radical sim racing. Here we go. Dug myself into all there. Anyways.
Yeah, you certainly did. So I was thinking, don't promise them everything. But yeah, it's an interesting little. It's one of those trivia pop quiz questions that comes up every now and again, and one that we'll remember it in years to come. But yeah, what I talked about the F1 earlier as well. I talked about Monaco and being the Saturday, all about the Saturday. What a Saturday it was this year. Robertson and Graf have swapped positions here. Not sure what happened there. Missed that.
I think Guy Robertson is on the back of Men of the Calf now. So he might be in a position to try and overtake him in a bit. However, it's not as easy as you think it is around these corners. Now going into Tosa, setting up for a better exit out of the corner is Guy Robertson. Two different driving styles here if you look at these drivers. And quickly explain to us, Stephen, being in a car you've driven around the track, what are the different driving styles that might work around here?
Yeah, I mean, this track is an absolutely brilliant track for aggressive drivers. Can be those who can really push the car to its very limits, wrestle the car back from the brink, can gain a lot of lap time around here, especially through this corner here as we follow through. You can take a lot more curb than that if you've got the car set up correctly, and really carry a lot more speed than that, clatter into those curbs through there. But a lot of these guys, especially in that corner as well, it's so dangerous to do so. It unsettles the car so much, but these guys are going for a more considered approach. But that approach can also work where you just introduce the car slowly, take late apexes, and almost float it around this track. It's got such a flow to it. It's very easy to do that with it, and keep the car slow, steady and balanced throughout these roller coaster corners can also be a good way to gain that lap time, and especially in an endurance race. That's the kind of style that we'd expect most of these guys to go for. But anybody on the track there who can wrestle it around this track and really attack the curbs here, attack the corners as well, and believe that the grip is there, they're going to be the ones that are getting the fastest lap times out, especially in Tamburello and Villeneuve. These two sets of chicanes, you can carry so much speed, so much more speed than you think you can, especially in this car, and you can brake a lot later. The one place where you'd actually trail brake, this left-hander here, and yeah, you can gain a lot of time just by trusting that there's going to be grip there, chucking the car in. You've got a lot more entry speed and can carry a lot more speed through these corners here at this track than you ever give it the car credit for.
Now, we've seen the driving style from those two, Van der Graaf and Guy Robertson, who's on the back of Van der Graaf once again. However, once we do switch to them, of course, the gap opens up a little bit. Mike Buisson has made his pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see, is Mike Buisson going to come in a second time to just get those pit stops out of the way? Do what we said earlier on. Just get them out of the way and not have to think about them anymore. This is Van der Graaf of the track coming into the path of Mike Buisson.
Good job there. Van der Graaf to not rejoin unsafely there. He could have easily taken out Mr. Buisson there, but off track he went. Let's have a look at what happened here then. So down into Ravazza, yep, just carried a bit too much speed, understeered off the track into the gravel, and then look at this, he definitely checked himself there coming back onto the track, knew that the guy was coming, checked his mirrors, and that's fair play from the Dutchman.
Also a little bit of a moment from Alex Roggenbuck. This is going into Curva Fueste Gresini. Oh, just goes, car just doesn't want to turn left anymore. Decided it wanted to totally turn right for Alex Roggenbuck. And
yeah,
off the track he goes.
Like he got the entry all wrong there. Just didn't have the car positioned correctly. We've got more action on track here with Mellis. Going off track here to the left. I think he's got a blue flag there. I wonder if that is Tim Bertie that's caught up with him there.
It was definitely not a blue flag. That was Stephen Blaze going through, and that was for position.
Okay.
I think he was a bit confused on where exactly he was on the track there. Stefan Mellis.
A possibility. I think maybe he was just trying to kind of make it obvious that, or maybe he was just looking too much in his mirrors and not enough at the track ahead. Also, maybe a bit of distraction. Anything could have happened. He could have been abducted by aliens, for all we know, for that brief instant. Transported through space and time, and then replaced back in the car. Mere moments later, 10 years have passed for him. But for the rest of us, it's
there we go.
It's been only seconds, but yeah.
Let the conspiracy theories begin.
But yeah, it's time for a few people to dive into the pits now. Robertson also coming in as Buisson quickly made his way past a few drivers after his pit stop, but is behind place as it stands as well. So did Buisson do a splash and dash? Was his the 0.9 second world record pit stop time?
Mike Buisson had an 11-second pit stop, so that is a usual pit stop for Mike Buisson. And he can now duck into the pit lane for that last pit stop whenever he wants. I actually prefer the way that Mike Buisson has done it. He is filled up early, and now he can just decide whenever he wants to go in for that last pit stop. Because that last pit stop, the only thing he needs to do is to stop on his marks and get going again. The only thing he needs to do. So he can just decide whenever he wants to do that. Because effectively, you're doing absolutely nothing in that pit stop. It's just for the numbers.
We have seen though with several races this season as well that certain drivers are taking tyres in their pit stops as well. Because of the new tyre model that came in midway through, it became more of a thing as well. So I wonder if there's any drivers out here who are going to take tyres and win big because of it, and if nobody else does. I don't know what Bertie's options are here as well. It's been placed up into P4 as it stands, having a fantastic drive in this stint at the moment.
Even place, of course, he made that 1 second pit stop, so that is 10 seconds won for him. Now, if we look at the times, he is about 9.5 seconds or 9 seconds ahead of Melis, of Buson, which means that he would be right on the back of him if they made the same pit stop with 11 seconds, which Stephen Playster has to do. Mike Buson doesn't. But he wouldn't be on the back of Tim Bertie, so that strategy at the moment not working out quite as well as Stephen Place would have wanted, maybe.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. Wonder what other drivers do. I think Bertie's going to go for the usual one that we've seen from SimRC, the SimRC Special. Is just pit late and do your normal pit stop very late on, as late as you can get it, and then like 15 minutes to go, and then come straight round for one lap. After one lap, come in for your splash and dash and stop and go, and get it out of the way late on, and that's worked well in previous races, I suppose. But so has changing tyres in other tracks. But I wonder what the tyre degradation is going to be like around here. Stephen Place looking very tidy as it stands at the moment, and the gap to Nigel is coming down, albeit slowly. 56 minutes remaining. A lot of racing still to be had here, and it's amazing to see whose strategy is going to come out on top.
Well then, we have another off-track moment for the Dutchman. Here we go. Look off again. Went off track. Here it is again. The Rivazza, and again doing the same thing here.
Again, once more at the entry, isn't it? He's just getting it wrong, but he did better that time. He did rejoin a little bit in front of somebody there, but safely nonetheless. There were nowhere near. But he catch it on the way in instead of having an out of control slide. But it does mean he has to go for a little detour along the gravel. Not as dangerous in this sim as it is in real life, the gravel, of course.
Well, I've never seen someone get stuck in the gravel. However, I have seen someone get stuck on a curbstone in Sebring during the Sebring 12 hours that we did this year. Someone got stuck on a curbstone, which can be pretty painful. Let's put it like that. However, talking about iRacing for a second, there's been news, Stephen. News of a new LMP3 coming in. The Ligier JSP 320, I think it is, which is their LMP3 model car. You of course have the Duquesne 2, of course that one not coming into iRacing, only the Ligier, but we will have a little teeny tiny LMP car, a little teeny tiny prototype.
Be interesting to have as well. I always love these slower cars. Like any class of racing that's good. Like you generally find if you can get enough drivers on the grid, you can have a lot of fun in a slower class car. MX-5s being a terrific example. Slow car, absolutely brilliant to race, and a lot of fun to race because they're so slow. The racing happens almost in slow motion, so it means that you're side by side for longer. And there's a lot of interesting things going on. Stephen Place has just disappeared off our screens and went out for a second there, and then pops back in again almost as quickly as he disappeared, and now says he's back in the P4. So I wonder if that was a minor disconnect there from Stephen Place. He's had issues like that in the past, I believe.
Yeah, last time around, I think even. We were at Bathurst that he had issues with that. However, Tim Bertie, here he is, our leader, by 10 seconds over Daniele Cascado. And just having a quick little look back at the whole championship so far. Of course, we started all the way back at Zandvoort with Alfredo Mollo in P1 and qualifying on the pole position out of Adam Isaacson and Dennis Kiriakopoulos. Of course, Alfredo Mollo, pointing himself as one of the greats too in that race, was leading for a long time. However, at some point his luck ran out and went off the track back into P2. Adam Isaacson able to overtake Tim Bertie, finished that race in P3. What a track to open the season at, though, Zandvoort, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly is, and it's a great kind of track to get used to these cars as well. It involves a lot of high-speed sections, braking sections, trail braking sections, and a lot of moments for great overtakes as well. It was a fantastic race. I remember it well.
For sure, for sure. So was round number 2. Do you remember where round number 2 was, Stephen?
I certainly don't. I haven't got a clue.
Well, that race was at the bumpiest track we've gone to on this calendar. Maybe that help you. Yes.
Yes, Sebring, of course. Yes, where those things practically fly. Yes, that was, of course, actually our first 90-minute session. And, yeah, I believe Jürgen Frank won that one.
Yes, he did. Certainly did.
If I remember correctly, with the first time we saw the strategy in action as well, and this 2-stop rule as well, where most people got it right that day, I believe.
They did, for sure. Well, the strategy that day was kind of a one way of going. Everyone kind of did the same. Everyone kind of followed Jürgen Frank's strategy, but for some people it didn't work out. So it's literally the Simracing boys, the Simracing Beethoven boys, that have been able to make that strategy work. For the rest, absolutely nobody so far this season has been able to make that strategy work, apart from Stephen Place and sometimes Mike Besson. Now, that race was won indeed by Jürgen Frank. Jürgen Frank also took the pole position out of Adam Isaacson and Tim Bertie in P3 in qualifying. Now, we did have the most boring race at Sebring, because Adam Isaacson also finished in P2 and Tim Bertie also finished in P3. So there you go. Jürgen Frank, of course, winning there. Then at Barber Motorsports Park, which is round number 3, which was an exciting one. Jürgen Frank qualified on pole position, and Jürgen Frank doing what he did best. Finishing ahead of John McHutchinson and Paul Crab on the podium. So Jürgen Frank winning 2 on the throttle. Then in round number 4, that was a crazy close race. 90 minutes at Watkins Glen Boot. Jürgen Frank qualified on pole position for the 3rd time in a row. Adam Isaacson in P2 and Tim Bertie in P3. Now, Jürgen Frank had a howler of a race in that one. Adam Isaacson finished in P1 ahead of Tim Bertie in P2. And John McHutchinson in P4. Now, Watkins Glen Boot is one of my favorite circuits in the iRacing service. Do you have a favorite one?
Well, it might just be Watkins Glen as well, but I'm pretty sure Road America is where I've had my most success, and it's absolutely brilliant track to race at.
What a roller coaster.
In a G3 car, I have to say. Yeah, that Watkins Glen race, we've got another 6-hour one coming up soon for myself to race in with ALM Racing. Forward to that. Is where Jürgen Frank got that last minute drive through. He was cutting it tight with the off tracks in the 90 minute, and we had contact coming out of the chicane after they came through there. Him and Isaacson are battling through the double chicane, and saw a stranded car stricken across the track in front of them. Both took avoiding action. There was contact though, and that 4X meant that Jürgen Frank got a drive through, costing him big in that race for sure.
Now, round number 5 for us was VIR. Now, VIR, tell the people really quickly here, Stephen, what VIR is all about, because let's be honest, VIR is not one of your normal tracks.
No, VIR is about gripping the steering wheel as hard as you can and hanging on for dear life, really. That's what it's all about. It's an absolute nightmare of a track. It's long, twisty, it's complicated. It's got very many blind corners and lots of very technical and complicated corners where you've got to take a really late apex, but you've got to be on the throttle before you hit it and hope that the track's going to be there even though you can't see it, etc. It's a very difficult track to race at as well, but there's definitely places and moves where moves can be done. Yeah, I seem to remember there was a bit of drama there, a bit of contact in the final corners. I can't remember who that was between, but we certainly had an exciting race there for sure this year in this SR8 series.
For sure. Now, I do have to say that during that race, like you said, there was contact in the last corner, and how it finished was, well, let's begin with qualifying. Alfredo Mollo qualified on pole position ahead of Adam Isaacson in P2, Jürgen Frank in P3. Then Adam Isaacson won ahead of Alfredo Mollo in P2 and Arturas Kondelis in P3. The first time actually that we saw Arturas Kondelis on the podium in the season. Now, onwards from that point, Arturas Kondelis was well, let's be honest, a very known name in the Europe Series, because not only did he challenge multiple times for the victory, didn't quite get it, never really got it, because the only drivers that have one was Jürgen Frank and Adam Isaacson. But he kind of stated his name as a driver who, if you drop 5 seconds in a race, he will be there to pick it up. So from that point onwards, Arturas Kondelis, a great drive. And from that point onwards, he was very much in that top fight. Then we went to Daytona Road, where we, Stephen, I think saw the best teamwork we've seen the whole season between Jürgen Frank and Tim Burch. Now let's start with qualifying. Jürgen Frank qualified ahead of Arturas Kondelis. Like I said, from that point onwards at VIR, kind of established himself as one of the greats at the front. Then Rudolf Nagal finished in P3 in qualifying, so he started in the top 3 too. Then in the race though, I mean, one of the best races we've seen this season from Simracing Beethoven, and from that point onwards we knew that it would be very difficult to kind of beat them. Jürgen Frank and Tim Burch with the massive teamwork there at Daytona.
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones I missed. Unfortunately, I was in Manchester trying to pick up my new car, which I just washed today, funnily enough. Got it nice and thick and fat. And noticed that it's been in an accident, which is a bit unfortunate. But first time I washed my car after buying it, but it doesn't seem to have been a serious one.
Well,
yeah. Interesting. But yes, carry on. Let's carry on. Daytona, I believe I missed that one, so I think it was the only race I missed this season. I could be wrong about that as well, though. Yeah.
Well, we'll run through the calendar and we'll see. However, welcome into Phil across the pond. He says, "Evening, Dan, Steve, and all." So good evening to everyone who is watching. Like I said, this is a bit of a longer race, and we do respect you all for watching, because it isn't the most exciting phase of this race since the gaps have been created now. This is an endurance. Everyone is thinking long term. Especially Stephen Place, Rudolf Nagal, and Mike Busson, who's in this championship fight. We're just getting to the point where we are now, round number 10 here at Imola. But before we got there, we had about 3 rounds left. Adam Isaacson qualified.
Actually has a bit of damage to his car here. A bit of a bunk on the front left.
Yeah.
I didn't notice before. That's an interesting development. Not really sure where on the track you would get a bunk such as that. But he's got one nonetheless. That's going to be affecting his lap times for sure. Slowing him down ever so slightly.
Have a look at if it was maybe during this overtake. Now this was going into pit lane for Mike Busson. Now I can't see anything happening after that really. That has happened to Mike Busson. So it's a guess to me on where he got that damage. Now, let's continue with where we left off.
Most likely place, I suppose, would be in the pits as he was coming into the pit lane. There's not really a lot of places where you come close to a wall with your left.
Well, he's made that pit stop, and if that was the case, the first thing he would have done is put on that fast repair, that one fast repair that everyone has, every race, every time. During the sprint, during the endurance, one fast repair has been given to every driver, so I don't think that's the case.
If it was maybe contact with another driver on exit, or or maybe
could have been.
Who knows? We'll have to. Maybe we'll ask him after the race, but yeah, who knows?
Well, let's continue with where we left off. It was Adam Isaacson who qualified in pole position at Suzuka, and Tim Burch in P2, and Arturas Kondelis, like I said, in P3 again. But you guessed it. Since no other drivers won than Jürgen Frank and Adam Isaacson also won that 30-minute race at Suzuka a very, very good sprint race that we saw that time around. Tim Bertie in P2 and Artur Skondelis in P3. Then, for round number 8, Spa-Francorchamps. Meanwhile, however, big news, Mike Buisson into the pit lane, so it might have even happened on that last lap. And he went in to get that car fixed. Another 13-second pit stop for Mike Buisson. So he's maybe gone for a different strategy, maybe fueling on both stops. There we go. Look at brand spanking new coming out of the pit lane. There is his Radical SR8.
He is, with Buisson emblazoned on the rear wing, no less. That was everyone's out, but Bertie still yet to make a stop, I believe. He's just happily trouncing around this track, trundling along, enjoying his Sunday afternoon drive.
Well, you know which race came after Suzuka. I bet you do. It was round number 8.
Round number 8. I cannot, for the life of me, remember now. But
it was Spa-Francorchamps.
Oh yes.
And do you still remember who finished first and second there? 90-minute race.
I'm pretty sure Spa was Jürgen Frank again. I'm pretty sure second was Adam Isaacson. I'm pretty sure they had a. Adam Isaacson wasn't there.
Adam Isaacson wasn't there at Spa-Francorchamps. So we once again saw a great battle for about an hour between Jürgen Frank, Tim Bertie, Ron McCutcheon, Stephen Place, Mike Buisson. Then, during that pit stop phase, it all dropped off a bit. And it was in the end Jürgen Frank who came through to win that race out of Tim Bertie in P2 and John McCutcheon in P3. One of the only podiums for John McCutcheon. Then, the last round that we've had before we came to the Imola circuit was at Bathurst, where, well, we all saw it, the fight between Adam Isaacson and Jürgen Frank. Jürgen Frank was on the back of Adam Isaacson, swapping positions left, right and centre, coming onto the Conrad Straight. And in the end, on the last lap, Jürgen Frank was very close to Adam Isaacson. In the end, however, couldn't quite make it stick through for his elbow. Had a little bit of contact coming through that second to last, well, the last corner on the mountain section. And that threw away a chance of a good slipstream down the Conrad Straight, maybe for going for a move into the chicane. However, it was Adam Isaacson on round number 9 coming through to complete another victory for Adam Isaacson, make it 4-5 in victories for Adam Isaacson this season. And to be very clear, it was Adam Isaacson in P1, Jürgen Frank P2 and Artur Skondelis in P3. Now, Adam Isaacson won the first round at Zandvoort, won the 4th round at Watkins Glen Boot, won the 5th round at VIR, won the 7th round at Suzuka, and won the 9th round at Bathurst. Round number 8 was for Jürgen Frank. Round number 6 was a prey for Jürgen Frank too. Then round number 2 and round number 3 were a prey for Jürgen Frank as well. This, ladies and gentlemen, although it might be hard to believe with Tim Bertie leading the championship, will be the only time someone else than Adam Isaacson or Jürgen Frank has ever won a race, and that is only because they weren't here.
Yeah, those guys just have dominated this series and lit it up in a way that no other two drivers could either. They had an immense battle between them, and that last time out in Bathurst for round 9, fantastic race it was. It was almost like the final between those two guys as well. They were battling out to see who was going to win this series there, and it was Adam Isaacson who came out on top, winning the 5th out of race out of the 9 that they were going to race in between them. So that gives him 5 wins to Jürgen Frank's 4, and were they there for the entire season, showed up for every race, and you could argue that they probably would have been fighting for the championship just between them two themselves, or if they only just turned up, missed 2 races, then the drop weeks would have meant that they would have overtaken Tim Bertie anyway. But it wasn't to be that way because just life got in the way for whatever reason. But Bathurst certainly felt like a bit of a cup final, didn't it, between those two? And what a final it was. That's not the track.
No, agreed.
Did you see that? Did you...
Well, let's
just
take.
made his own lineup there. You saw it? He just decided, I don't really like that chicane. I don't really fancy that chicane. It's not for me. And then just made his own track up. What?
The way they did it back in the 1990s was way better, Mike Busson thinks. So I'm just gonna do it that way too.
Yeah,
Now,
that caught me by surprise a little bit there, but I'm pretty sure he probably got a slowdown for that, which he served in good order, I'm sure. Otherwise, we would be getting a black flag or a drive-through or something. But yeah, that's an interesting line for sure.
well, we'll see on his lap time if it was quicker or not. But yeah, like I said earlier on, like. These two have been so dominant, and also it is well because the people couldn't hear me. That's why I'm gonna repeat this, Stephen. I was stupid enough to mute myself on the stream. Tim Bertie and Rudolf Nagal still have to make 2 pit stops. Stephen Place in P1. He already has made 1 pit stop. Has to make another one though, so his pit stop's not over yet. Meneldegraaf also has made, or also hasn't made either one of his 2 pit stops. Then Jason Duckworth, one of the other drivers who hasn't made his pit stop yet. Then we'll move on to Daniele Cascaro, who has made one of his pit stops already. Then it's Stefan Mellis, Guy Robertson, and Alex Roggenbuck, who have made 1 pit stop. However, there's one man who's made 2 of them already. And that is this man in P7. Mike Busson has already made 2 pit stops in this race. He doesn't have to think about any pit stops anymore. The only thing he has to think about now, Stephen, is just get to the end and make sure you do that cleanly. And maybe he'll be able to take advantage of a howler of Tim Bertie during the pit stops. Maybe Tim Bertie smashes into the pit wall and is not able to continue this race. Wishful thinking, however, I think from us for Mike Busson.
Stranger things have happened, but now that applause are out the way for the top guys, I've got to give a lot of credit to Alexander Roggenbuck, the guy in P10 at the moment, a lap down on everybody else. The guy hasn't shown blistering world-beating pace throughout this season, but he finds himself in P17 anyway. And through virtue of attendance and just sticking it out there all of the time, Kenny. He has had so many tough races where he's had spins and issues galore, and he just soldiered on, carried on, took the points home that he could take home, and got just as rewards for all of that effort and hard work in the end. Even if he didn't have the pace to compete with some of these other guys, he is still beating on the scoreboards the likes of Alfredo Melo R, who showed flashes of absolute brilliant pace in the early stages of the season and then disappeared, but also ahead of Daniel Cascaro, who here is in P5, who can see his pace relative to him here and now. But Roggenbuck ever present this season, and I believe he might be the only driver to have managed that. I could be wrong, but I'll double check.
The only driver. And you are not wrong, you are indeed correct, because Jason Duckworth wasn't there at round 8. The other drivers who were close to it was Mike Busson, got 0 points at round number 4. Now, the only driver to get points, to score points in every race so far, is Alexander Roggenbuck. However, because of that, he will also get a harsher penalty. Because effectively, the two of his lowest scores we'll see as a no-score race because of the drop score system. So that'll mean that round number 1 for him, where he got 3 points, and round number 4, where he got 7, will effectively be 0 because those two scores will be taken out of where he was before. However, Stephen Karabelas, or however I pronounce your last name, you've done it again, sir, and this is all of you.
Oh, what did I do? Oh, I cursed the man. I cursed him. Oh, he just got a bit eager on the pedal there. Quite get the car settled before he shifted the weight of the back tyres and lost all the grip on the front.
Now wait a second, it's not over yet.
Oh, no. Tyres will be a little hot after that semi-spin, but coming through.
There we go.
Mineral.
Back to live pictures. It was that crash that came up as a crash on our roster. However, Alex Roggenbuck back out on track already. It was Guy Robertson who's gone into pit lane. Let's take a look at what exactly happened to Guy Robertson. There we go. There is Guy Robertson into Acqua Minerale. On the exit of it, he's going to light up those rear tires. No, he's just going to park it. He's just going to park it. Did he run out of fuel? I have a feeling Guy Robertson might have run a lap too long. Oh no, he blew the engine. You could hear that. He blew the engine. Guy Robertson. Man, oh man. What a day for Guy Robertson. He's been able to absolutely smash a motor into pieces. Wow.
One way to do it, I suppose.
However, he's got out again, back ahead of Alex Roggenbuck. How's he done that then?
I don't. What? What? Fast repair? I can't.
Could be, yeah, that must be.
But he blew his engine, so he had to tow it first, and then. Well, okay. Yeah, maybe that could be done. He get towed, fast repair straight out. He's drowned
Alex
again.
Roggenbuck. Cameras on him again. The man is just a bit camera shy, I think. No, don't park it and go back to pits, please. No. Alex Roggenbuck, no. I refuse. I refuse. Do not do it.
I think he's just waiting for a little train of cars, little gaggle of cars to come through.
I could have long gone by now.
He should have long gone by now. Yeah, certainly could have. Yeah, he's going to move now, but
he's not going to do it. He has heard us. He's not going to go back to pit lane. Just score points in every race.
Score points. Just score points. Just turn up. I like him. I like him a lot. He's scrappy. He never gives up.
There we go. You was right. Tim Bertie now going through the traffic ahead of him. And this is unbelievable pace ahead of him. He has, well, someone who'll be very happy to lap. It is, can you guess who it is from just the livery of that car?
That's going to be...
Who is it? Mike Bousson, it is. I'll give it away. It's Mike Bousson who is about to lap. And what it would be for him to be able to lap Mike Bousson, that'll completely put Bousson out of the picture. However, we don't know what Bousson...
He has 2 stops to make still, so he'll certainly unlap himself during those 2 stops, which Bertie will have to do in the next...
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, Bousson has made those 2 stops already. I did not... Well, excuse me there, ladies and gentlemen. I, for sure, did not run through that about 5 minutes ago and forgot this time. Anyways, Mike Bousson still needs to make that pit stop in P7. Or has made his pit stops already, excuse me. Tim Bertie, he still has to make all 2 of his pit stops, however, last time round. A quickest lap time for him, as we see, as per usual, these cars getting quicker and quicker over the stint.
Yep, and Tim Bertie, regular at just putting in consistent laps He's always been there or thereabouts, but the pace of the two guys who normally win has usually been maybe a tenth or just a level ahead of what he's been capable of so far this season. But without them here today, he's got track. He's clear for him really at this stage. But yeah, Michael Buson might not take kindly to being lapped, but into the pits comes Bertie for his first stop. Is he going to stop and go, or is he going to take fuel and tyres maybe? Let's have a look.
Well, Tim Bertie, leader of the race, is into the pit lane. There he is. Tim Bertie is going to stop right in front of the camera. And off he goes again.
There it is, just a quick stop and go. Nigel takes command of the race for now, but he's still got both of his stops to make as well. Bertie is going to take his time now with this second stop. Maybe run that one down to the 10-minute wire.
No!
Roggenbach is out.
Steven!
Oh, no.
What have you done?
He's out.
You've absolutely cursed the man. He's out of the race, and for the first time ever, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, he's not gonna take any points. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sad to confirm, this early on into the race, I was expecting to do it at the checkered flag, but that, ladies and gentlemen, has given the championship to Tim Bertie if he just finishes this race. So he still needs to finish this race. There was, by the way, the statue of Ayrton Senna. He still needs to finish this race, but let's be honest, Tim Bertie, he can crash this race. He can do whatever he wants. He just needs to cross that finish line.
But if he crashes too hard and he doesn't get the car going again, that's certainly going to be not doing him any good. So he can't do that. But he can finish anywhere in the top 9 places here and still gain his championship. So all he needs to think about at the moment is just safety as it stands. He doesn't really care about anything else. But try telling a racing driver that, and yeah, he's probably going to push it to the limit. He wants his first win. He's going to want to win this championship with a win. You know, just prove to himself that he deserved it more than anything. But he certainly does deserve it after an incredible showing of consistency throughout the season, turning up week in, week out, and getting consistent podiums. I don't think he's ever missed a podium, has he?
He has. One time.
He has missed. Yeah, okay.
One time he has missed
Round
a podium.
5. Yeah.
Got a podium in Zandvoort, round number 1. Finished 3rd there. Got a podium in Sebring, finished 2nd. Then, round number 3. Wasn't there, so that is a 0-point score for Tim Bertie. Then round number 4 at Watkins Glen, 2nd. Then we move on to round number 5 at VIR. And that was the round where he did not pick up a podium. He finished 4th in that race. Then 2nd at Daytona, 2nd at Suzuka, 2nd at Spa. Also, wasn't there last time round at Bathurst. But finally take that win, and it just tells you all those last 3 races before he wasn't there at Bathurst to break that streak. Second. It was just always either Jürgen Frank or Adam Isaacson. It was just a 10th or 2-3 a lap quicker, just that one level ahead of him, where so he couldn't take that victory. Of course, all heads off to Adam Isaacson and Jürgen Frank, of course, to be able to do that consistently, also in a 19-minute race, because don't forget, 2 of those races were 19-minute races. Of course, Daytona, 19 minutes, and Spa-Francorchamps, 19 minutes. So both times, Jürgen Frank, his teammate, had denied him from that victory, did deny him from that victory. So you have to say, though, incredible consistency shown by Tim Bertie. So if there's one man who's worthy of a championship without even winning it, it would be Tim Bertie. However, it would be a great statistic to just show that it isn't always the driver who is winning the championship. It's the driver who's most consistent, who's able to finish in the top 5 places consistently. So it would be good for the statistics to just say Tim Bertie finished P2 again and take this championship without a victory.
Well, sure, he'll want that victory under his belt regardless. We have never interviewed the man here all season either, because we're usually more interested in his teammates in Isaacson and Frank. But if he wins this evening, hopefully we will get to hear the man's voice for the first time.
Yeah, he's been too shy. We're too scary looking, Stephen, for him to come into the booth with us. It's like, don't you if he looks at us, he thinks, oh man, those two guys, they're so annoying. If I go into the booth, they're going to ask me annoying questions. So, yeah, maybe that's the reason why he's never come into the booth with us.
Maybe just knackered after putting in full effort every week in the race, sweating like a pig in a butcher shop, maybe. But see what he does here. He just eventually get Nigel. Nigel comes in at the pits for the first time because that's his actual stop, rather than just a stop and go. But I could be wrong. But, also saw somebody else in the pits as well. I can't remember
who came out of the pits. Daniele Cascado came out of the pits right behind him. Daniele Cascado has made 2 of his pit stops. He's behind Mike Buson, who's made all 2 of his pit stops. Menno de Graaf has made 1. The only driver without a pit stop at the moment is this man, Jason Duckworth. He hasn't pitted yet.
He's got a lot of damage to his car as well. Interesting. Got a bit of a bump, front left part of it there. So maybe is his rear wing a little bit bent as well? I can't tell really, but it looks to be carrying a little bit of damage. It's strange that he hasn't fitted as of yet to get that fixed.
Yeah. That rear wing, however, looks as straight as anything. So, Rudolf Nagel ahead of him. I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. However, I think that Stefan Mellis out of pit lane. Yes, it is. Belgium, who had an incredible race at Spa-Francorchamps. Not the best race for Stefan Mellis. A race to forget. Spun more times than a carousel.
Big clatter into the sausage curb there on the inside of Villeneuve, and yeah, you've got to be very careful of those big sharp bumps on this track. This car does not like them at all. Definitely touched some of the curbs around here, but those sausage curbs, that once again broke another driver's neck in real life only a couple of weeks ago. Really should be removed from the sport, in my opinion.
Say
More
that
of a
again.
safety hazard than any. More of a safety hazard than anything. I was talking about the sausage curbs. That
Yeah. Well, I think they have to be placed differently. Like the inside of the chicane, they're good there because no one is ever gonna scatter into them like head on and jump over them. It's just, I can't see it happening, and if it happens, he's going into the barrier anyways. However, the only problem I would see with that is if a driver would kind of scatter towards that sausage curb upside down, and then would get stuck with his helmet, because his helmet is of course sticking out a little bit. But that, again, like I said, I saw at Mantorp in a real racing week here in Sweden, a SR10 with a, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on air, but I'm going to do it anyways. So don't sue me for this, Radical, please. Here we go, inside information. So I'll get your phone recordings on so you can report me to Radical. Anyways, I saw a Radical with a halo on it. So they are testing it out. Let's put it like that. So they are testing out putting a safety feature like the halo onto the SR10, and probably all next models.
The success that the Halo's had in F1 and F2, amongst other sports, and Formula E as well, means that those kind of safety devices eventually make their way into all cars. You probably start.
Oh, that's a bit wide, Stefan.
Ooh, that's very wide there in the chicane there. Yeah, but you'll probably start to see something similar become mandatory on all of the open seat racing cars, just for a safety, as a safety feature. You might even start seeing it become a mandatory feature of open topped cars in real life as well. You've already got your roadsters and the like have to have these roll bar style things on the headrests of the seat. That's from racing, you know. So this kind of technology and safety things help us all.
I mean, let's be honest. Racing, and especially Formula 1 as Tim Bertie comes into pit lane, has been a groundbreaking sport in terms of safety features for road cars, just for anything really. So if there's one thing that is leading the technology development from the automobile industry, then it definitely is racing. So yeah,
Place with his 2 early stops is now taking the lead of this race.
No. Place has made 1 stop.
He's only made 1 stop.
Just like Rudolf Nagel.
That makes more sense. But just look as though Place's strategy is starting to come to him a little bit more. He's gained a sizable gap there, 20 seconds over Bertie, with a 30-second or so pit stop time. Bertie should comfortably regain the lead, but Place could gain a few positions, P2 or 3 maybe, get himself a podium here.
I think for sure P3 at least. However, yeah, I think for sure P2 at least, because Duckworth is a long way back from Bertie.
Oop, slidey goes Stephen Place.
Jason Duckworth. Finally, Jason Duckworth has come in for his first pit stop with 15 minutes to go of this 1.5 hour race. Mike Buisson is now overtaken him. We can see the gap, 36 seconds to Tim Bertie. I do think that with the gap that they have at the moment, Stephen Place is going to slot in P2 at least. Or P3 at least, excuse me.
Buisson Cascado probably got something to say about that still. But
Here
Cascado,
we go, we're going to get an answer soon.
Off the back of Buisson at the moment. It's not been a race for him to remember. He almost stayed with them for a little while, did Cascado, but quickly fell off the back of the leading pack. Be interesting to see what happens here after this round of pit stops.
Place and Nagel both in.
This will be everybody caught up, so let us know how the cookie crumbles in the end.
Stephen Place will be in his pit box for about 5 seconds longer. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Stephen Place is underway again. So is Rudolf Nagel behind that. I have a feeling Stephen Place underfueled a bit. Now, everyone's pit stop times were 21 seconds. 21.32 for Tim Bertie. 21.33 for Rudolf Nagel. So very much the same. 21.48 for Stefan Mellis. All of those drivers filling up the car to the brim.
15 minutes remaining then, and everybody, I believe, has made both of their stops. You'll know disqualifications this week. There had been some in previous, I believe, spots where we saw a couple of people get disqualified because they did not do their assigned pit stops in the allotted time. But yeah, Stephen Place comes out P2 in the end. Nigel just behind. Buisson dropped dramatically off the pace in that middle stint there, and now sits at P4. Cascado in P5, some way off the back of him.
In place, like I said, in P2. The problem for that is that I think Buisson has been running heavier than anyone else in that first pit stop. So yeah, it's or he's been running heavier after that second pit stop. And that is where he lost the time to Place and Rudolf Nagel. So yeah, a tricky one, I have to say, for Rudolf Nagel. However, nothing really, to be honest, or for Mike Buisson. However, nothing really, to be honest, that Mike Buisson could have ever done that. Now he has to watch out because it isn't clear cut yet to Adam Isaacson in P3. However, Adam Isaacson, like I said, not here. Neither is Jürgen Frank. Arturius Gondeli's not here either. Dennis Karabelas, not here either. John McHutchison, not here either. Jason Duckworth, the closest driver to Mike Buson at the moment, who's here this race, and he is all the way down in P8, and he is about 75 points off of Mike Buson. So it's going to be difficult, really, for Mike Buson to lose this place. Near on impossible.
Yeah, even place though, with a P2 finish here, could see himself catapulted into the top 10 and into, well, get two. He'll have 2 seats to the finals on June 4th. I wonder if that means that it goes to P11 here, or whether or not it goes to him to decide, or what happens with that seat then. Get 2 entries into the finals. I wonder.
Now, if we talk about the team championship, it is Simracing Beethoven who were fighting against Team Redline. Team Redline has 1 driver in this race in the name of Mike Buson, and Simracing Beethoven has 1 driver in the race in the name of Tim Bertie. Now, Tim Bertie has been leading this race, so with Simracing already leading the team championship, there is not a lot that Mike Buson can really do. It's going to be impossible for him to take the fight to Tim Bertie and Simracing Beethoven. Simracing Beethoven will have this championship because there's only 1 driver from Team Redline in here, so it's going to be impossible for Team Redline to catch up. So Simracing Beethoven, the team that Tim Bertie is driving for in this race, is already team champion. So Tim Bertie and his Simracing Beethoven team already been crowned team champions before the green light even went out.
Yeah, Tim Bertie and Jürgen Frank, the 2 drivers making up the majority of the points for this particular team. So some combination that no wonder they won the championship as well. Jürgen Frank with so many wins under his belt, Tim Bertie who doesn't know anything below 4th place so far this season, and will odds on to get his first win here with a 15-second gap to, well, 14 seconds now to Stephen Place behind. But yeah, incredible work from all of the Sim RC guys. They've got 5 drivers here in this series, and they've done incredibly well, all of them. Adam Isaacson also a member of that team.
Now we have Simracing Beethoven coming or going into that a bit deeper. Then we have the Simracing team, and then we have the Simracing Mozart in P6 in the championship. Simracing 4th, and of course Simracing Beethoven, like I said earlier on, already been crowned the team champions. But Stephen, running into the last 10 minutes now, I have a feeling that this man is not going to take any risk whatsoever, and that he will be the only driver else to win a race here in this season other than Adam Isaacson and Jürgen Frank. Now, what I would say with that is that if 1 driver would deserve it, it would be Tim Bertie, with the consistency that he has had this season, finishing on the podium every time he was here, except round 5 at Virginia International Raceway, which I think is a track. Let's be fair to Tim Bertie. If there's 1 track where you are not going to make the podium, it'll be that track, because it's an absolute roller coaster, up and down, difficult track. So yeah, it'll be forgiven to him for not finishing in the top 3 there. Other than that, the only races where he wasn't here were the races where he didn't finish on the podium. Every race that he has taken part in, he's finished no lower than 4th place. If there's 1 driver, like I said, who would deserve a win in this championship, it would be this Tim Bertie.
Yeah, certainly it would be, and he's going to get it anyway. So whether he deserves it or not, he's going to go his way. We come down into the final 9 minutes here at Imola. It's a strategic race more than anything, but lots really changed from the start. Stephen Place has managed to gain a number of positions. Nigel has managed to hang on to his P3. Usan Cascado dropped out of the running through strategy. Just not working out for them, really. Usan with that damage as well, like you say, maybe running a bit heavy in one of his stints, cost him quite a bit of time. Cascado, I'm not entirely sure what happened to him, but he didn't really have the pace to stay with those guys at the start anyway. so it was always going to start dropping it down the order. It's been entertaining. A few off tracks, 2 new corners made up.
Especially, I think Mike Buson, who at some point thought, okay, it's a bit boring to go through this chicane for like the 40th time. I'm just going to take the chicane like they did it in the 1990s and just absolutely straight lined it. And took us back to the good old days where Tamburello was just a corner still and not a chicane. However, there's a good reason for it to be a chicane. And we all know the reason. We don't have to touch on it again. But we all know the reason why that is the case. Now, I did have a look. And I've been informed that it has been updated. So it's not the top 10 that goes into the finals. It's the top 14 for the Europes and the top 10 for the Americas. Why that is the case, you might ask me? Well, that is very simple. In total, we've had 44 drivers take part in this European version of it. And we've had 21 drivers take part in the American version. That then automatically means that the chance is half as much to get into the top 10 than it is in the America ones. That's why they've extended the Europe ones with about 4 places. However, in the American Championship, for the people who do want to know, it is Stephen Place on 420 points. He's near on impossible to catch for Scotty Galligan if there are not enough drivers there today. So, yeah. Scotty Galligan, Joel Jacklin, Manuel Sorozano, Diego Zuccarelli, Lucas Vieira, Diego Snyder, John Mancala, Charles Krosic, and Arturus Kondelis are the drivers that will go to those finals, because the gap from Arturus Kondelis is in P10 to Johnny Hanby, who is in P11, is 60 points, well, 52 points, which is not able... Well, which you're never able to get in a race. So that has already been decided. Those 10 drivers are going to go into the finals in a couple of weeks' time. Then for this one, it'll be Tim Bertie with this win, who's confirmed to be in the finals. So is Mike Buson, Adam Eisen, and Jürgen Frank also confirmed to be in those finals. Arturus Kondelis, Dennis Kiriakopoulos, John McHutchinson, and Jason Duckworth, together with Rudolf Nagel and George Gonzaga. That is the top 10, also confirmed to be in it. Stephen Place, Iwan Bremer, also confirmed to be in it. Excuse me, not Iwan Bremer. He is on the brink, of course. He is still on the verge of losing that in 12th position. Guy Robertson, Rafael Blanco, and Iwan Bremer. Those 3 drivers are still at risk of losing that place. With Paul Clark not being here, Stefan Mellis being here, he's going to promote himself up into that place.
Yeah, I've been doing the maths in my head there as well. I think it's Stefan Mellis is the only person who can get into the playoffs for the finals.
Alex Roggenbach would have been one.
Well, he's out now, so...
He would have been one, but he's out. So
he's out,
don't
So
really understand why.
Graf is just a bit too far. He needs, 41 points to get up there. And I think so that he would need to be on the podium really here today in order to get into the finals from his position on 142. So Stefan Mellis is the only one who can do so, and he's going to do so, I think. I think 8th place will give him enough points to knock Rafael Blanco out. Just about.
Then we would say on 203 points that Iwan Bremer is safe now, because no one is able to catch him anymore. Menno de Graaf is not able to catch Iwan Bremer, so Iwan Bremer is also safe. Now, Iwan Bremer technically would be able to catch Guy Robertson or Rafael Blanco. However, Guy Robertson is in this race. He's in 9th, so he is safe too. Rafael Blanco would then drop out, but that is for Stefan Mellis. Stefan Mellis at the moment behind Menno de Graaf, but not by enough. So Menno de Graaf will jump up a couple of positions, but will not go ahead of Stefan Mellis. So Stefan Mellis will be driver number 14, and that is the drivers who at the moment, as it stands, will go into the finals. It'll be Stefan Mellis going into the finals as the lowest seated driver.
Yeah, certainly will be. And let's talk about those finals then as well. It's going to be June the 4th, the SR8 season finale. And we have 2 races for your viewing pleasure. Should be extremely exciting because these tracks are absolutely fantastic. The Nordschleife is going to get us underway with a fixed setup race there with one fast repair, a 10-minute lone qualifier, and then 4 laps of racing around the Nordschleife. And if anybody doesn't know what the green hell is like for racing at, he's not only fantastic but equally as terrifying. And then we'll find it out with race 2 in Lagos at another fixed race with another 1 fast repair, and you get 4 laps or 10 minutes of lone qualifying time with a 30-minute race afterwards, and it will be the results of those 2 combined that will crown our overall champion.
Now, of course, for that race, sadly, Stephen, as far as I am informed, you won't be there. It'll be me and James Parfit who will be there for those finals. Of course, last time round, James and I did the finals too. So yeah, we have some experience with the finals, and I can tell you one thing: last time round, it was an absolute spectacle. So we'll be looking forward to have more of the same.
Thanks for letting me know that on air. I'm absolutely heartbroken, and then you rub it in by saying it's going to be absolutely brilliant, and I'm not allowed to be part of it. I feel as though I've been shot. It's it's obviously it is what it is, but yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck hosting that one. Should be a great one. Some very quick drivers involved, I suppose. But who do you think's going to win it, Europeans or Americans?
I've got to go, and there's no other way, really, than... It's either, because he does have some incredible pace all the time, Scotty Galligan, who I've got there. Well, it's going to be Lucas Vieira in a fight with the Europeans Tim Bertie, Jürgen Frank, or Adam Isaacson. But if I have to go with someone, he's been super consistent, and he's just been killing in the Europeans. I have to go with Adam Isaacson as the champion. However, a lot can still happen. We're not confirmed if Adam Isaacson or Jürgen Frank or Lucas Vieira are going to be there, so we don't know yet. But if I had to go with someone now, off the top of my head, just a quick decision, I would go with Adam Isaacson. However, Tim Bertie is going to start the last lap of your regular season, so we're going to go on board with Tim Bertie for the first part of this lap and let you enjoy the start of the last lap of the season. Well then, coming out of Aquamira, let's reflect the season that Tim Bertie has had. It was a 3rd at Zandvoort, a 3rd at Sebring, wasn't there at Barber Motorsport Park. It was a 2nd at Watkins Glen Booth. Then the only race where he finished 4th and his lowest finishing position at VIR, it was 2nd at Daytona, 2nd at Suzuka, 2nd at Spa-Francorchamps. Then he wasn't there at round number 9 at Bathurst. But Tim Bertie is going to be your regular season champion, and he's going to finish it off in style. He's going to win the Imola Endurance Grand Prix. It is Tim Bertie, your regular season's champion. Take a bow to him. What a consistent performance from the German. What a drive from Tim Bertie. Stephen Place is going to come through in 2nd. He is going to be in the top 14 to go to the finals. Twice. Rudolf Nagal in P13, 4th. Or in P3, 4th for Mike Boson. In the end, not enough to attack. He came into this race knowing that his chance was very little to come back at Tim Bertie. And in the end, this just wasn't quite enough. Daniela Cascaro coming through in P5 ahead of Menno de Graaf in P6, who's coming through Aqua Minerale. Jason Duckworth has finished already. Stefan Mellis is coming through Rivazza now. Guy Robertson behind him, or ahead of him on the track, but behind him on the classification in P9. We're just waiting. Oh, Mike Buson has come to a stop, but that was after the finish, luckily. Daniela Cascaro coming through in P5. Coming down to Rivazza, and the last one across the line will be the Dutchman of Menno de Graaf. But what a season we've had, Stephen.
Yeah, Stefan Mills will be absolutely overjoyed that he's managed to make the finals as well. He gets another chance to race once more in these fantastic cars, and it's been an incredible season for us to watch and commentate on as well. There's been some real excitement and highs and some very odd lows. Thinking of that incident in Watkins Glen for Jurgen Frank, where he got that drive through that cost him the win big time. Big stain on his record for the season that was in the end. But that's the nature of the racing here so far this season. It's been at the absolute limits, including track limits as well. These guys using so much of the limits that they were literally counting up to 16 out of 17 penalties for track limits, knowing that they could just gain a little bit of tenth here or there at this corner or that corner with a little cut, and when it goes wrong for them, they ended up with a drive-through, and it happened to Jurgen Frank at Watkins Glen, unfortunately. But it's been incredible and incredibly tight all season as well, and Tim Bertie, a deserved winner. Congratulations to the man as he gives us a treat of some donuts.
There we go. Some donuts from the man who's our regular season's champion. Nothing better than some donuts at the end of the season. That car is written off. He's never going to use that anymore. He's going to get a new car, a fresh car to fight with in the finals. He has that number 1 on the side. That has a reason. He is our previous champion. But ladies and gentlemen, join us next week for the finals. That's going to be an amazing one. Before we round this season off, it is time to do the last interviews for the Europeans for the regular season. And we'll start with the man who finished in P2 today, Stephen. Please welcome in. Stephen?
Yep, thank you. Oh, sorry, I had you on mute. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Stephen, welcome into the booth. Well, Stephen, it was a good qualifying for you. Qualified in P2, had a horrible start. Talk us through what happened there.
Yeah, I need to start using my foot clutch to just put on the brake, gas. I've been doing that all season. It's like safe sex. I know I'm not going to make a mistake, so...
There we go. A very interesting comparison there from Stephen Place. Well, you now know that you're safe for going into the finals since you are in the top 14 in the European ones. However, do you have something even more important to fight for in the Americas? You have that win to fight for. That overall championship.
Yeah, I consider this a Sunday drive, just a tune-up for tonight. We'll see how things go. I just wanted to run my own race today, not get caught up. That's why I pitted early. Yeah, stress-free race.
Now, what were your thoughts behind the fact that you went into the pit lane that early? Because it's something that we didn't see you do only this race. We've seen you do it a couple of times this season. What's the thinking process behind this?
I don't give too many of my secrets away here, but just running my own race, not be under pressure. Following people, it's harder on the tires. There's a few reasons why. Yeah, generally that's my game plan. Just do my own race and see where I end up.
All right. What are your plans then going to be for the finals? Looking ahead to next week.
Ooh, the Nordschleif's up on the list here, and it's got me a bit worried. We'll see how things go. I'll do my best, and we'll see how things go. But I just want to thank you guys for doing great broadcasts. You guys have been awesome this year. And thanks to Sandro for running this. and with my teammates and team Radline, John Hutchison, for helping me out with setups. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be as fast as I've been running. So, thank you.
Well, there we go. Stephen plays into the top 14, but a championship to fight for a little bit later on today. Thank you for your time and good luck in the finals.
Thanks, guys.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear the voice. Finally, we weren't too scary for him. We put our good-looking face on, Stephen and I, and finally, he's joined the booth. Tim Bertie, welcome in.
Hello.
Well, Tim, put us in the cockpit. You know that the only thing you need to do for this race is just make sure you finish with 10 drivers on the grid. There was no way else that Mike Busson was going to take this championship. What were your thoughts gridding up for this race?
Well, exactly that. Finishing. That was it.
So, you had your start. You kind of went off into the distance at the start, got about a 7-8 tenths gap. Then Mike Busson caught you back up. Did you know that you were able to kind of turn the screw a bit more later on in the race and go for it that bit more, or did you go full out from the word go?
Well, I gave my very best. I mean, there's always space for improvements, but my first goal was to not make a major mistake. And yeah, if they keep up, they keep up. If they overtake me, they overtake me. If they can't keep up, they can't keep up, you know. Just don't make a mistake. That was it.
Well, I am delighted to inform you that you are the only other winner else than your teammate Jürgen Frank, who's been dominant this season together with Adam Isaacson. It's kind of crazy how we're 10 races into this season and only 2 drivers have won a race, but you are the only other driver to win a race. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel honored, of course. I mean, we all know both of them weren't here today, so they are kind of.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we also know that they are kind of racing a little bit in their own league in this series this season. But yeah, what can you do? I mean, I'm happy with myself, even if I wouldn't have if I didn't win this race. So you know, I had a superb season. I knew my pace. I mean, I'm not 18 anymore and have the mega reflexes and everything. So I'm happy with my season. No major mistakes. All races finished. I mean, a big thanks to all the guys racing with me there for positions. So I mean, to have clean races, it's not only on yourself to make no mistakes. It's also on the guys around you. So that was really great. But now I'm happy that it's over. And
Sure.
I'm happy I won the championship.
Yeah, for sure. A season lowest finish of 4th, of course, all the other times, of course, you weren't there, so you get 0 points. But if you finish a race, your lowest finish was 4th. You were very consistent. That was one of the things that was your specialty. How do you do it?
Years of experience and age, I would say.
Practice, I would say too, of course. It is something that comes into it. How do you kind of, sorry for the amount of questions that we're asking, but we are very interested because we haven't spoken to you for the whole season. It's now the first time we get to speak to you. So how do you kind of prepare for a race like this where you know the only thing you need to do is kind of finish? Do you take anything differently than others?
No, it usually was always the same. I mean, the longer the season went, the harder it was to motivate yourself even to just be there because you know, it's always like that in the end of the seasons. But
Yeah.
no special preparation. I did 25 laps of practice in the afternoon because I don't know, it was Imola, wasn't my preferred track anyway. And well, yeah, that was it.
Well, eines tolles Sieger von Tim Bertie. There we go. That was my best German. Tim, thank you very much for making the time and finally coming into the booth for me and Stephen. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth?
Of course. I mean, I already had other guys racing with me there. Then Sandro organizing the league. Yeah, special thanks maybe to my teammates, to Rudy, who finished third today, who always made the setups for us, to my Beethoven teammate Jürgen, who always did the fuel calculations. Unless today, where we both had way too much fuel in the end. And yeah, to you guys for the broadcast. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it too. And maybe see you at the season finale, World Finals. That's what it's
Well,
called.
not me apparently. I'm not invited. Well, that's another argument for another day apparently. Like,
Stephen,
but,
Stephen.
yes, congratulations, regardless, Tim. That is a season where you've been so consistent and dominated the consistency stakes, and it's a fully deserved victory.
Well, Tim
Thanks.
Bertie,
Vielen
champion.
Dank. Geweldig.
There you go. Some Dutch in there too. Anyways, Tim Bertie, your regular season champion, is going to give it all in the finals. Good luck for that, sir.
Thanks.
Well then, Stephen, it's time for us to wrap it off. I am seriously gonna miss you for the finals, to be honest. It's been great doing all these 10 rounds. 9 because you weren't there for one.
Don't worry, I'll be there at the finals in the bushes with my binoculars. You won't necessarily see me, but I'll be there.
Well, what was your favorite race from this season?
Oh, I think it's for this season. It's got to be that Bathurst one, wasn't it? Like, it was such a good race, that Bathurst one. It seemed to be like it was the finale between Frank and Isaacson, and so much happened as well up and down the grid. Lots of interesting lines into barriers. McCutcheon lost it and killed himself in the dipper. And it always throws up a lot of entertainment, Bathurst. So I really enjoyed that one a lot. But special mention to Watkins Glen. That was another fantastic.
For sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has come to an end, sadly. Catch us next week for the season finals. Me and James Parfit, we will have for you then a very, very big thank you to everyone who's watched us this season. Phil across the pond, thank you for hopping in today once again. Stephen, a massive, massive thank you to you for being alongside me in the booth, and a massive thank you to the league organisers and everyone who has made this possible. Catch us in about 5 hours' time, for 4 hours, excuse me, for the season finale of the Radical SR8 Americas. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.